article on Reddit. I haven't seen this perspective on YouTube, so I thought I'd bring it up. This wonderful Reddit also pointed out that the media seems to be wholly on Blake and Ryan's side, which I agree with. In the beginning, there was no media that was saying anything against them until they realized the public was having none of it. So some of them are now sprinkling some realistic posts here and there. All of this truly shows the interesting underbelly of journalism, and it seems one can't just trust the media. So this Redditor quotes an article from the Hollywood Reporter, which has solidly been on Blake and Ryan's side throughout. They haven't tried to at least pretend some neutrality, bless their hearts. And I quote, "From the beginning, it seemed like all major publications were in complete support of Lively. If everyone ever relied on their reporting to form an opinion, I think we'd support Lively without question. And Justin Baldoni would just be another villain in a woman's workplace horror story," which is true. I think I mentioned this in my past video, but I'm a feminist, and I appreciate past feminists for the work they've done for us. But I believe there's still more work to be done, especially on the psychological front. Because like I mentioned in my first video about this saga, a random dude will walk up to you and assault you in broad daylight. A lot of us find ourselves going home thinking about washing ourselves with bleach because we feel so dirty. And we shouldn't have to do that. So there's work that past feminists accomplished, and we're grateful for that, but there's still some fight to be done. Regardless, I can't stand for the Blake Lively kind of woman because what she's doing isn't feminism. This is theft of someone's hard work. Just like a man shouldn't support a rapist just because he's a fellow man, I also can't support this woman just because she's a woman. So this Redditor continues. But fortunately for him, this is not the world we live in, and he did the best thing he could have done with that knowledge. He brought his case and evidence to us. So I just read an article from the Hollywood Reporter and saw this video from Entertainment Tonight. Both still favor Lively, but they are more subtle about it. This is the thing about the media. It's like they're afraid of coming out with their actual thoughts, which is wild. I feel like we're in 1984 and we just didn't know it. THR claims that they are not painting both plaintiffs with the same brush, and yet that's exactly what they do. Lively comes across like somebody who would order the launch of nuclear warheads over not getting a booth at a restaurant, whereas Baldoni seems like someone who would burst into tears when his Tinder date fails to praise an unsolicited dick pic. So you see how they subtly imply that Baldoni's misdemeanor is sexual in nature, but Lively has nothing to do with taking over his movie. Making any judgment about the actual validity of that complaint is the height of foolishness right now, with so much legal process runway still ahead, which honestly sounds like Blake's team. But is it foolish to make judgments when one side has brought in an overwhelming amount of evidence to support their claims, while the other basically says, "Just trust me, bro"? Online sentiment, a documented obsession of both plaintiffs, have been a swinging pendulum. I agree with the Redditor here. It hasn't been. Lively very briefly garnered support when the NYT released the article. 10 days later, Baldoni filed his lawsuit against Lively, and by and large the public has been on his side ever since. Actually, they've even been voting on many social media platforms. I saw the one on X where there's a poll on who was on Lively's side and who was on Baldoni's. Lively got 4% of the vote. Baldoni got 96%. This article has obviously been paid for by Blake's team, I believe. The pendulum hasn't been swinging. No one has been in her corner since Baldoni dropped his receipts. The article then draws comparison between Justin's lawsuits and Johnny Depp's. I see the comparison, but the article undermines itself yet again by calling her bully and not an abuser. In recent weeks, it swung towards Baldoni for possibly one of the same reasons it's favored Johnny Depp over Amber Heard in their 2022 defamation suit courtroom clash. The filings portrayed him as a super sensitive creature, while the latter came across fairly or not like a bully. A man accused of workplace sexual harassment, it seems, doesn't trigger the socials quite as much as the woman accused of being a mean girl. And this is again a very interesting card Blake's team has been playing throughout the whole thing, trying to tell us that are being manipulated by Baldoni's team. We are reading lawsuits on both sides, and we are seeing clearly where the lies are from, and the lies are not from Baldoni's side. But they are continuously insisting on insulting our intelligence. The Redditor also agrees. Do you see what this article is doing? It's making it out to seem like the public reaction to Johnny Depp's trial was due to misogyny, and not because one party was glaringly guilty. It is implying the same thing is happening with this trial. Anyone who had those audios of Amber Heard going off on Johnny Depp is not going to call her innocent. They've been trying to gaslight us from the very beginning and won't stop anytime soon. There have been many bits of unintended humor. Lively allegedly enlisted Reynolds and Taylor Swift to help squad pressure Baldoni to agree to a singing right, while threateningly comparing herself to Khaleesi. While some of Lively's complaints with her and Sony include accusing Baldoni of self-glorifying Lively's employees, sobbing over unflattering paparazzi shots of her, and claiming to cyclically speak to her dead father. They make a joke of Justin being intimidated into accepting the singing right, and they also poke fun at his emotional nature and his spirituality, which I find very ironic because they're the ones claiming he's smearing them, but they've really been going hard on his character. There's an article I saw where they were dissing his proposal to his wife among others, but they're the ones claiming he's smearing them. One wonders if there's a case on either side for doing the unthinkable, either settling or pulling their respective lawsuits, because mutually assured destruction has already occurred. So this Redditor believes this is a call to Baldoni to settle the case. Otherwise, why include this directly after? There's no criminal complaint, so nobody is at risk of jail time. Both sides are shelling out hefty fees in legal representation for perhaps long-shot paydays. The reason each side keeps going is to push their respective arch nemesis and salvage their reputations. So yeah, here it feels like they're reminding Baldoni through this article that there's no real blood in the water yet, but also claiming that while Baldoni can destroy them, they can in turn destroy him right back. So the message is clear. Come out from behind your lawyers, admit fault, and you may yet have a career. They mean to tell him that while he might think he's controlling the narrative, settle the case or lose all your money in legal fees. In truth, each has more in common than they might realize. They're both being used. Their lawyers get money and publicity, the media gets content, readers and fans get the latest tea so they can judge and debate. Everyone is insatiable for more. Nobody wants this season of feud, Lively vs Baldoni, to have its finale anytime soon. Suddenly, everyone besides Blake and Ryan are at fault. The lawyers are at fault for doing the job they're hired to do, the media is at fault for reporting it, and the public is at fault for showing interest in the case. I don't understand how anyone could read this article and not see it as a threat to Justin. I honestly agree with what this Reddit is saying. And also the same thing happens in the Entertainment Tonight video. If you watch that video, they show a clip where Lively is talking about wanting authorship without showing her actually admitting to horrible behavior. But at the end of the video, a lawyer comes on and starts talking about how settling is important and how it's the best move for everyone. Now they seem to be very caring towards Baldoni. They don't want him to lose his money in legal fees. Ridiculous. If you want to see this all for yourself, you can go read this article with The Hollywood Reporter. Let me show you a little bit of the actual article. They say, if you only read Lively's complaint, you'll be convinced Baldoni is a fake feminist who assaults women. If you only read Baldoni's amended complaint, you'll be convinced Lively is a bullying diva. Whereas if you read both, you'll be convinced that you never want to work in Hollywood and should instead seek out a less treacherous career. So here they're implying that both sides are at fault, even Baldoni. But Baldoni is one whose hard work was attacked. So yeah, these people are really one-sided. Because an actor who finds themselves working for Baldoni is going to be just fine indeed, compared to other directors who have heard of. And he has the receipts to show that the entire cast had no problem with him until they spent time with Lively. So this is a very wild claim on the Hollywood Reporter's side. Yeah, you can also see that part where they imply Baldoni's faults are symmetry in nature. And then you can also watch the Entertainment Tonight video for even more surprises if you want. I think I hinted about this, but a video from Lively's past has been taking the internet by storm. She did this interview with Forbes in 2022, a year before she joined Justin for the It Ends With Us filming. She did this with Forbes, which was like a feminist thing where she was talking about how she goes into movies, pretending she just wants to be an actress, but then she forces herself into other aspects of the movie process. And she says it's because she doesn't feel fulfillment as just an actor. She wants authorship. And then these directors and the people responsible feel very old and feel like the rug has been pulled out from under them. Then she's like, but am I the a-hole? Well, yes you are. So the situation is so odd, because a lot of us don't like being told what to do. A lot of us like doing our own thing. She's not the only one. But what you do is you create your own thing. So the question of why she just doesn't do her own thing has been all over the internet after that video came out. She has the money after all. She has the power, especially after her husband made $1.3 billion from Deadpool. People started sleuthing and found this Vogue article that she did last year in promotion for It Ends With Us still. Where she was like, I'm a writer, but people keep wanting to ask about my baking. When my husband is in interviews, he mentions me being a very good writer, but then they insist on asking him about my baking skills. So she again goes on to say how she likes authorship, she likes being creative. Then the interview essentially asks her, then why don't you produce your own movie? That kind of thing, I'm paraphrasing. Then she's like, starting from a blank page isn't as nice. I always like to find something already established I can put my spin on it, make it better, that kind of thing. I'm still paraphrasing here just so you know, but this woman is not creative. She wants to be creative but doesn't know how. And I don't think she can, because to a creative person, a blank page is very attractive indeed. And the funniest thing is, this is a common thing. We all watch movies, TV shows, read books, and there are always those small aspects of that medium that we have watched already that we don't like. The normal path is to tweak it, but make it fan fiction instead. I mean, that's the entire premise of fan fiction. You read something, you watch something, maybe you don't like a part, you just want to imagine things just for just, so you go write your fan fiction. But you don't earn money off of it because copyright, I don't believe in corporal punishment for children, but I feel like this woman is a poster child for it. Anyone who believes in spare the rod, spoil the child can use her as an example of why it is important to discipline children. Because it's like they never taught her the importance of respecting other people's work. She goes on movie sets and expects to steal their work, essentially kidnap them and hold them hostage until they let her put her personal spin on things that they've worked hard on, rather than using her connections and her power to do her own thing. She's a fake who wants to be creative so bad, which is ridiculous in my opinion. And her name has the promise of monetary gain for any financier to be like, you know what? Take all my money, make your own movie. It's just so odd that she hasn't done this. Of course, the internet is very mad at her for trying to gaslight us, which is why all this little thing is happening. Like after that video footage of the pivotal dancing she claims to have been SH team that I showed in my last video, she came out with her lawyer saying that that video is a lie and that Baldoni's team is manipulating us and that there is SH in there, as if we can't see with our own eyes. Everyone had just been uncovering stuff from billions of years ago. I honestly don't think she can recover from this because I think that her being found out about her things that everyone had forgotten, and people still liked her. Her PR had managed to cover up a lot of things that most people had forgotten. The only thing that people never forgot was the fact that she got married on a plantation back in the day. But everything else people had forgotten. She was fine. But now I really honestly don't think she's going to get out of this fine. And also about her Forbes interview. It felt like this powerful feminist thing, and you could feel she felt like this was okay because Baldoni is a male feminist and she felt he owed her his work because of her gender. I mean, Ryan and Blake have been putting up Instagram posts. Of course, they're not mentioning Baldoni's name, but these posts hint about male feminists who dominate and are only virtue signaling. I personally think she really believes that as a woman, she has the right to tell anyone to give him their life's work, and that person shouldn't fight it. I think she had a problem with Baldoni because Baldoni tried to stop her from stealing his work. So in her mind, in her overinflated, egotistical, privileged mind, she saw this as fake feminism because nothing could possibly be wrong with her demands. I'm now completely thinking this was her problem with Baldoni. And you can really see in these interviews that she truly believes that it is her right to go into these movie sets and steal people's work because she needs fulfillment. So of course they have to let her have it. This is so nipple baby. And even in that Forbes interview, she mentions directors who don't want her to do these things. Then she talks about them. It's like they're the bad ones, not her. She's the perfect poster child for spare the rod and spoil the child. She also mentions her mother, who was also the kind of actress to not take no for an answer. So this is learned behavior. I really can't believe Beck. I think she should learn from all that has happened and stop gaslighting the public, because people are now going after her relentlessly. They have also found an article that she did for Glamour magazine in 2009, if you can believe it, where she admits that she turned the entire cast against Ben Badgley for no reason. She said that at first when she met him, she didn't like him, so she turned the entire cast against him just for just. Then she goes on to say, but then they noticed that he wasn't a jerk and was actually a really nice, charming person. Almost immediately, I realized that too, but it took me about a week to admit it. So what she has done to Baldoni by turning the entire cast against him is a new, somewhat a operandi. This woman, I don't think she has a future in Hollywood anymore. She shouldn't have released the lawsuit with lies, because a complaint is supposed to be a private matter. The public should never have known that she filed a complaint. And from what I understand, complaints don't have to have the truth. You can say whatever you want in a complaint and then they will investigate to find out. But her problem was she wanted to ruin Baldoni's reputation and shared her private complaint with the New York Times. This is why you shouldn't put energy into ruining others. I see that quote, before you embark on a journey of revenge, dig 2 graves working out in this case. She intended to ruin his reputation, but it's all blown up in her face. So if she had not dug her own grave, she now has to. So don't do revenge, folks. Don't attack people. They will fight back and things may not be great for you. Another thing is I don't see any director not being afraid of her stealing their work and causing chaos on movie sets. She already had a reputation for being difficult. So this whole case is bringing out the exact details of that reputation. At the very least, Hollywood will be afraid that the negative image she now has will affect the movies. And the funniest bit is she always admits to her wrongdoing. That quote about her poisoning the Gossip Girl cast against Ben Badgley was really spread at the time. There's this People's article that also carries it. You can also take a look at that if you're interested in the case so Blake Lively doesn't gaslight us anymore. The entire world is united against Blake Lively's gaslighting. These words right from her own mouth show that this is a very privileged woman who was very sure she'll never pay for her crimes because she kept reporting on herself. And right now she has garnered the entire internet's hatred. Even Candace Owens, who doesn't like feminism and doesn't like what Baldoni stands for, is solidly on his side. Of course she's right-leaning and instantly didn't believe Blake, but those of us who are more liberal, we understand the problems that are still going on. But this is a very interesting rotten tomato who is spoiling it for us. I think at the end of this, she should do one good thing in her life and apologize to women victims of SH, SA and DV, because what she's doing is only making it worse for the rest of us. Another update is she has currently issued subpoenas to mobile companies, AT&T and others, for Baldoni's texts with his PR and entire team. There's a man called Jed Wallace suing her from Texas, whose reputation she destroyed. She included him in her complaint, but she didn't have enough evidence to back her claims and dropped him from the actual lawsuit. So he has come back and filed a defamation lawsuit against her. So she's essentially filing subpoenas to get access to their texts. But she filed this complaint using texts that she got from their phone. So it's confusing why she's subpoenaing these mobile companies. I think she wants to legalize the process by which she got those texts. Because allegedly, the texts she used in her complaint was stolen from a former employee's phone. A former employee to the PR company that Justin Baldoni was using. The employee allegedly retained her phone when she was leaving but never gave it back and gave it to Blake's team. So those texts were illegally obtained and she may be trying to correct that. Just imagine her entire case is allegedly based on illegally obtained evidence. and she's really banking hard on the retaliation claims. That's what she's been working hard to prove, the claim that Baldoni retaliated against her by smearing her reputation. She's not working to prove the SH because I think she knows there's no evidence for that. She has all the videos from the movie set that she kept asking for while they were filming. So if Baldoni SH'd her, she must have something. But no, she's really leaning into proving this retaliation campaign thing, because she claims Reynolds is a hard guy who comes in to spoil reputations and is working hard to prove that. And if she has a case there, then Baldoni will have a problem. But if you look at Baldoni's lawsuits and texts, he didn't really want to attack her. He's been playing defense this entire time. At some point when she was getting backlash for her tone deaf promotion, he wanted to divert negative attention from her and suggested dropping the news that he was directing other movies so people could stop trashing her. This is a very kind man. He was expecting to be in big trouble, which is why he had big PR teams. Because she was threatening him behind the scenes and he was scared because he knew he was a smaller fish in this. But even after everything she did, he felt bad for her and wanted to divert negative press from her. So I don't think they're going to find anything. They have all the texts, so they must know this. They have asked for 2.5 years worth of texts. It's like they're clawing at thin air. But how do you start something when you don't have the proof for it? So anyway, Baldoni's team has responded, assuring the world that they will find nothing. They had their first court hearing and Blake promised to add more plaintiffs to claim Baldoni SH'd them too. But so far nothing has come out. They've asked for an extension to give them, but the judge didn't give them the extension they wanted because they didn't have a good enough reason to ask for one. So instead of a 2-week extension, they got a 1-day extension, which is good for them since they seem to want to waste time. You can't work to destroy someone and then be weird. They thankfully have to finish their amendments by Monday 17th. There's also been a tip to the TikToker Be Better that they want to add Jenny Slate, who was acting as Baldoni's character's sister in the movie, as a plaintiff, because she apparently also had a bad experience with Baldoni. She seems to be the only one so far. Candace Owens posited that she may have alluded to a bad time with Baldoni just to be supportive of Blake. Like when a friend is down, then you also tell them a sad story about yourself so they don't feel so alone. And that makes sense. Because when a woman finally accuses a man of SHOSA, other victims come out of the woodwork saying Me Too, which is why it's called the Me Too movement. The fact that no one else has come out against Baldoni speaks volumes. Women come out in all cases, probably in all parts of the world. Even in my country, there are numerous cases where men solicit schmecks from women before hiring them. The moment one woman talks about it, everyone else will, and he'll either be fired or bribe his way out of trouble. But women usually turn up to add their voices regardless. They mentioned in their last court appearance that they'll ask someone to join them or subpoena them anyway if they refuse. The fact that they have to allegedly beg or force Jenny Slate and others says all there needs to be said. Jenny Slate was the only actress from the movie to immediately come to Blake's support when she filed the complaint. But at this point, no one wants to join Blake's sinking ship because no one knows what receipts Baldoni has. So everyone is afraid. Jay-Z must be loving this. Before all this, Jay-Z was under fire for allegedly raping a 13-year-old baby back in the day and he couldn't show his face anymore without causing chaos. He attended the Lion King premiere and had to keep a low profile. But at the Super Bowl a few days ago, he was completely fine. He must love Blake right now. The best thing Blake and Ryan can do right now is publicly apologize for trying to ruin Baldoni's reputation. They are going around calling him a smoke show predator, so their apology needs to be strong. They need to admit to making things up, admit they lied about the SH and SP words, completely recant everything. But they are too egotistical to do that, so they're digging in instead. And the more they dig in, the more the internet finds unsavory details about them. All of these things we're uncovering were covered up by their PR, but this continued insulting of everyone's intelligence is going to harm her if it already hasn't. She should wave a white flag and apologize, just to stop the digging, and people just might leave them alone. She doesn't even have to mean it as long as the apology covers all the bases given the lies they've told. But internet sleuths are unearthing so much it will be impossible for them to have a career after this. A teacher from Reynolds' childhood has even come out to say he had sociopathic tendencies when he was 12. People Blake went to school with are also coming out to out her as a mean girl. No one would know this if they had stopped with the lies and apologized weeks ago. And the internet never forgets. Stories about sociopathic child Ryan will now forever besmirch the good guy image he likes to pretend he is. They truly should have dug their own graves too. But they are too narcissistic to realizing they have lost the war, so I don't see them apologizing. I personally look forward to more unsavory details about them. It truly is fun to watch two knacks unravel and destroy themselves. What thoughts do you have about this case and the perspective I presented? Drop them in the comments so we can get a discussion going. Don't forget to do the usual liking, sharing and subscribing. Peace.